Welcome to Auburn. It's the 83rd consecutive sellout inside the jungle, and they are ready for Kentucky tonight in a game that feels like a must-win for both sides. Kentucky has lost 2 in a row despite the play of their superstar Oweh. He's coming off of a 28-point performance in a home loss to Georgia. He's had a 20-piece in 6 of the last 7 for the Cats. And with that, we welcome you to the loveliest village on the plains and welcome to the SEC on ESPN. The Auburn Tigers are trying to end a 5-game losing streak. They live on the bubble right now, projected as an 11 seed among the last bye, and coming off what Stephen Pearl has called one of the most confusing and frustrating losses he's ever been a part of.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously devastating. That was probably the worst loss I've ever been a part of at Auburn. Yeah, you know, we just got to try and take what we did well in those 15 minutes. And, you know, your season's on the line on Saturday. You know, if you don't win on Saturday, you're probably firmly on the bubble and out of the tournament. So, you know, put some pressure on yourself.
And with that, we welcome you courtside. Tom Hart alongside Jimmy Dykes. Stephen Pearl's message to his team, Jimmy, was fight. Go out there and fight tonight, and they need to try and get right.
Yeah, no doubt. I think both teams probably come in a little salty, a little desperate when you consider Auburn 5 in a row that they've lost. Kentucky's lost their last 2. The issue for Auburn, Tom, has been on the defensive end of the floor. Now, they're playing a Kentucky team tonight, very good on the perimeter, so they're going to have to be really solid in that area of the floor. If you're Kentucky, man, be physical, because Auburn has not been a physical team in their last 5 losses. We'll see how they respond tonight.
Well, as far as Auburn's defense is concerned, the last 4 star guards who have gone against them have absolutely torched them. And now, all you have to deal with is the preseason player of the year, Oweh.
Well, Oweh is a right-handed, downhill, dominant, forceful driver that also is a terrific defender. So he gets worn out, man, during the course of a game, as hard as that dude plays. Keyshawn Hall, man, this guy can score the best of them in the league. He alone can put Kentucky in foul trouble if Kentucky's not careful.
Auburn lives at the free throw line when things are going right. Second in the nation in made and attempted. They will try to get there tonight against a Kentucky team which gave up 16 threes to Georgia in a home loss Tuesday night at Rupp Arena. Emotions are going to be high for both sides. The bass is pumping and the jungle is already rocking. It was like riding around in Jimmy's Honda Civic back in the day.
Hey,
the mirrors are rattling.
Not back in the day. My Ford F-150 right now.
Sebastian Williams-Adams will jump center against Kentucky freshman Malachi Moreno. And we are underway at Auburn. Denzel Aberdeen controls the tip for the Kentucky Wildcats. 17-9 on the season. Second loss this season with 70-plus points in the home loss to Georgia on Tuesday. They go immediately inside to Moreno, who's able to convert and goes down with an ankle injury. Kentucky is already thin on its front line. Jaden Quaintance, their star pickup in the offseason, has only played 4 games. And Malachi Moreno, the freshman from Georgetown, Kentucky, has given them a massive boost at the 5 position already this season.
It speaks to the confidence that Mark Pope has in his young freshman. The first play call, a 2-man game to get him at the lob. But he came down in a lot of traffic. And big concern for Kentucky. He rolls out of there and he comes in off the finish. And the second jump, yeah, he lands on the foot of Keyshawn Hall and rolls that thing to the outside.
So we're just 19 seconds into the game, and Kentucky will get Moreno out. He laced him up a little bit tighter and got some help from head athletic trainer Brandon Wells. And so Brandon Garrison already in the game for the Cats. Starters for Auburn have been fairly consistent over the course of the season. Tahad Pettiford runs the point, and Keyshawn Hall has been their key scorer. Here's Williams-Adams against Jelavic, and now outside for Hall. foul on Garrison, trying to block out and get a body on Keyshawn Murphy.
Oh, that's a big part of this game for Kentucky. Auburn, one of the top 10 offensive rebounding teams in the country. And it's not Auburn's lack of offense. They're inside that top 10 in offensive efficiency. These guys in white on the home floor can really score that ball.
Yeah, 8th in the country in efficiency according to Ken Palm, and better at home than on the road. Better than 91 points a game here in this building this season. Hall outside to Overton. Tried to guide it in. Murphy's on the offensive glass, and he picks up a whistle.
Yeah, 2 missed shots for Auburn, 2 offensive rebounds. And Keyshawn Murphy, now that he's healthy, first 16, 17 games was not. But, man, this guy's energy, his activity level, soft hands around the rim. A tough cover when that ball's on the glass.
Murphy, 5th-year senior from up the road in Birmingham, Ramsey High School. He played first in Starkville at Mississippi State, and he got a very rude welcome from the folks at Humphrey Coliseum in the midweek loss. But Murphy's been really good as of late. Last 4 games, he's given Auburn nearly 14 points and 10 boards a game. 74% from the line on the year. And he knocks them both down. Oweh waits in the near corner. Here's Jelavic. Oweh was open for a split second. And now Chandler, who's absolutely scorching from deep over the last couple of weeks. 6 on the shot clock. Fade away from 16 feet. Rebounded by Hall.
One of Auburn's better defensive possessions, maybe in the last couple of weeks right there.
Inside, great position, and a high percentage look for Murphy.
Well, Stephen Pearl wanted his guys to be the more physical team to start this game, and so far, a couple of offensive rebounds, pound the ball inside to Murphy.
Auburn has delivered the first punch. Stolen away by Pettiford. He will push. Tried to drop it off. Instead, gives it right back to the Cats, and Aberdeen out in front.
A 4-point swing and a terrific job by Chandler to get back and defend without fouling in transition. Not easy to do. Kentucky put Pettiford in a crowd. Got it.
Hall with the back cut. Goes with his offhand and finishes at the rim.
Auburn get that a couple of times a half. They wrap Hall around that elbow. Lift the offense. There's no help defense to take it away.
Jelavic puts it on the floor. It turns into a fadeaway, and Garrison misses the putback but follows up with it.
I think Jelavic is a key guy, Tom, for Kentucky. Shoots the 3-ball at a high clip, only gets 2 per game, but because of that 3-point ability, he can also hurt you as a driver.
Overton feeds the block. Hall left it short. And the Cats coming the other way, 4 on 3. Chandler in transition. You bet. Hard to find a hotter shooter in college basketball right now.
48%, right? In SEC play leads the league, but you've got to know, you have to know personnel in transition. When Chandler brings it, he's bringing it to a 3, different than Oweh in transition.
Overton leans into a 3 and gets the second personal on Chandler.
And we're talking about knowing personnel. Colin Chandler lives in the slot, whether it's off of the pass or off of the dribble up. But you've got to sprint out and meet him and understand he is not a rim threat nearly as much as Otega Oweh is in transition. He is a 3-point killer in that conversion offense.
Last 5 games, he has made 20 threes. Yeah. And to your point, he's at 49% in league play. 3 free throws coming. There's a delay at the scorer's table trying to make sure it was indeed a 3. Good news for the Cats. Malachi Moreno will return in a moment. Here's Overton at the free throw line. And Chandler will have to exit for Kentucky. Overton 3rd in the league at 86% from the charity stripe. So Moreno returns. Trent Noah checks into the game for Kentucky. Garrison and Chandler will have to take a seat. Chandler with 2 personal fouls. One more for Overton.
Those Auburn guards over the years are so crafty at drawing fouls off of three-point shots. Overton one of them.
Cats have made 4 of 7 to start this game. Here's Malachi Moreno. Matched up with Murphy. Powers inside for a little jump hook. He doesn't play like a freshman.
No, not at all. I mean, he gets his left shoulder into the chest of Murphy. Not easy to knock Murphy back off of the path.
And the 3 ball is off the mark. Aberdeen with the rebound. All right, Dan, thank you. We welcome those of you who just watched Michigan Duke here in the jungle. Tahad Pettiford and Auburn are off to a quick start, tied with Kentucky at 11. Jimmy Dykes in what is a must-win game for both sides.
Yeah, no doubt Auburn comes in, losers of 5 in a row. Kentucky has lost their last 2. You would expect both ball clubs to be on edge, be a little salty, a desperate effort, you think, tonight here in Auburn.
83rd consecutive sellout in this building. And Kentucky was rattled with early fouls, including 2 charged to Colin Chandler. Their starting guard is already on the bench in foul trouble. Oweh nearly ripped it. We got a timeout on the floor, and 2 desperate teams going toe-to-toe in the middle of the ring. Kentucky and Auburn are tied at 11 at our first timeout. For head coach Stephen Pearl, it feels like a must-win game because it is a must-win game. Auburn has dropped 5 in a row, and now the Tigers, who have the #1 strength of schedule in the country, have fallen back to the bubble and in danger of maybe being left out of the tournament after making it to the Final Four last year. One of the reasons, poor defense, that was the cause of the loss against Mississippi State Wednesday, a loss that Stephen Pearl is having a hard time getting over.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously devastating. That was probably the worst loss I've ever been a part of at Auburn. Yeah, you know, we just got to try and take what we did well in those 15 minutes. And, you know, your season's on the line on Saturday. You know, if you don't win on Saturday, you're probably firmly on the bubble and out of the tournament. So, you know, put some pressure on yourself.
It's not just pressure on yourself. Stephen Pearl, during film today to his team, said, you've got to come out and fight. I will have your back, but we've got to throw the first punch. There is a sense of urgency with this Auburn program right now.
Tom, think about it. It's an Auburn team that went and won at Florida, arguably the best win in SEC play this year. How did they do it? They were the more physical team in Gainesville. They have not played that way since. He has drawn a line with his guys tonight. We've lost 5 in a row. We have to be the more physical team. They've done it early. They've pounded the ball inside. They've gotten on the glass a couple of times. At some point in the season, Tom, I think Coach has to draw a line and say, tonight's the night. That's what Stephen Pearl has done, challenging his team.
Both of these teams have had struggles in the first half of games, especially in conference, falling behind early. But the resume for this Auburn team is still lifted by that strength of schedule. #1 in the country. Thanks, Dad, for leaving that non-conference schedule for me. And it leaves him 33rd in the net. Now, to be fair, there are some winnable games in the back end of the schedule after tonight, but this one would be a great feather in the cap, especially against another desperate team.
Yeah, no doubt. Think about Stephen Pearl in his first year as a head coach. Only his 9th year in coaching, Steve Pearl inherits the nation's strongest strength of schedule. They have maneuvered their way as of now in the NCAA tournament. He's had to bench a couple of key guys in his first year as a head coach to send a message. But with all those things that he's had to maneuver through, he's got his guys in a terrific spot tonight to have a win that could really, have a lot of momentum come Selection Sunday.
That win at Florida was the first since '96 for Auburn. They also got a win against St. John's. Meanwhile, Kentucky looked like they had figured it out. The Cats had won 8 out of 10. Then they lose at home to Georgia for just the 5th time in program history in a game where Kentucky had as many turnovers as assists. And they gave up Georgia's best shooting night in SEC play.
Yeah, they did. Now, credit Georgia. Georgia came in and pressured them. It bothered Kentucky the entire ball game. Talking to Mark Pope today, I said, what's the key in the game? He said, hey, man, this thing's about us. If we take care of Kentucky basketball tonight, we're in good shape. What he means by that, Same thing Stephen Pearl's telling his guys. We got to be the more physical team. We've got to guard, and we've got to hang in on the glass against a very good Auburn offensive rebounding team.
For the Cats, 8 of their 11 points have come in the paint. The first bucket was from Malachi Moreno, who turned his ankle and had to leave, but has returned. Here's Jelavic with the spin and kick outside to Freeman. Elijah Freeman in the game for the first time, former Division II standout. And a fadeaway with great rotation, Jimmy Dykes goes.
Man, Auburn is good one-on-one. There's multiple guys, man, that just size you up and find a gap. Very good at finishing over length, I think this Auburn team is.
Freeman was playing for Lincoln Memorial last year. Now he's sizing up Kentucky in front of the 83rd consecutive sellout in this building. Oweh is short. Here's Keyshawn Hall. No numbers, no matter. He's going to attack. Gets his own miss. Takes it back up. The southpaw again misses at the rim. And now Kentucky attacks on the other side. And Overton with the block.
Well, Auburn is so good at driving the paint and getting the ball around the rim. One of the best in the country in terms of the percentage of shots they take right around that restricted arc. And there's that high release that I think has become a staple for those Auburn drivers.
Right back to Aberdeen in the corner, and he splashes down his first triple of the night.
Now Kentucky comes in making just right at 8 threes a game, 37%. They have good balance, I think Kentucky does in their offense out of those perimeter guys.
Pettiford loses Aberdeen on the screen, but it's rebounded from Dioubate.
Pettiford is going to have to guard in this game, a small guard for Auburn. Because at some point he's either going to be on Aberdeen, he's going to be on Oweh, he's going to be on Chandler. And he has got to hold up in this game on the defensive end.
It's been an issue for Auburn, especially the last 4 games. The opposing star guard in the last 4 has averaged 32 points against Auburn, highlighted by Josh Hubbard's 46 in the midweek, including 35 in the first half. Oweh, long 2, yes sir.
He is a tough bucket maker, Oweh. And one of his best characteristics is the belief that he has in himself.
Here's Jelavic working on the freshman Moreno. And he cleared him out,
yeah.
Down.
Well, Auburn went to what they call cutters. The old flex cut along the baseline, but what it ultimately does, it isolates a guy like Jelavic or Keyshawn Hall to go one-on-one. 38 and White just won that battle.
Mark Pope saw the result of that one, got a play call in himself. Let's see what Kentucky comes with. Get the feeling this is going to be a physical contest tonight. Cats can't penetrate, 8 on the shot clock. Discombobulated in the offensive end. Aberdeen launches. Moreno had his hands on it but couldn't squeeze it. Here's Freeman all the way to the paint and blocked by Dioubate. That'll be off of Kentucky and off of Trent Noah.
Well, that's the type of game that Dioubate has to bring when he steps on the floor. And Mark Pope said, when I go to my bench tonight, those guys better bring some energy and some fight and some physicality. And that sums up Mo Dioubate, 23 in blue from behind. That recovery, length, speed, and toughness, a big part of his game.
Cats will get Brandon Garrison back in the game. So with this lineup now, they'll have 4 reserves in the game, circling Oweh, and that includes freshman Jasper Johnson, now tasked with running the point. And Hall will be picked up by Dioubate. Philip Jelavic puts it on the floor. Johnson digs in to try to steal a great effort by the freshman. And finally a whistle goes against Kentucky. It'll be Garrison picking up his second.
Great straight down defense by Jasper Johnson initially to come at that basketball with hot hands and almost got a turnover because of it.
So foul trouble early for Kentucky. Colin Chandler on the bench with 2. Garrison now has 2. Freeman gets it stripped by Noah. And Hall sizes up Garrison. What a shot by Keyshawn Hall. He came coming off a 29-point performance in the loss to State.
Tommy's one of the best big wings in this league at making guarded shots. Led the Big 12 in scoring last year. Can go for 25 about any night.
Top 20 in scoring this season. Then to shoot for Oweh. Muscles his way in, and he slices it off the glass.
That is his game right there, Oweh. He doesn't go around defender. He goes right through the chest and the chin of defenders 4 out of 5 times.
They've already had 5 ties and 5 lead changes. Hall for 3 again. Oddly enough, talking to Kentucky staff, given Hall's propensity to get to the free throw line, the 3-ball is the least efficient shot he can take, and that's at 42% from deep. Hall with the rebound.
Well, I expect Kentucky to trap number 7 at points in this game. You've got to make someone else beat you.
Overton can shoot from deep and throws it.
That is that Bruce Pearl confidence that has gone down to Stephen Pearl in terms of no, yes. And Auburn's guards over the years have shot those things as well as anybody.
Jelavic with the steal, took it from the freshman. And a dunk. Stephen Pearl told his team, you have to come out and fight. I've got your back. And Jimmy Dykes, they are fighting.
And if you're Kentucky tonight and Mark Pope, you can't play someone that's not going to play physical. There'll be a substitution off of that turnover. And there's Keyshawn Hall, just dials it up, man, with a high release. And then Overton, plenty of time on the shot clock. The ball hasn't moved side to side, but one in Auburn with a ton of confidence. And then there's the strip and the rip by Jelavic, who you talk to coaches in this league, that dude plays as hard as anybody night after night. Kentucky with already 4 turnovers in this game. The last one by Jasper Johnson. This is almost inexcusable. This is a ball screen being set right here, saying the ball's got to come this way. And as a result, Jasper Johnson just casually walks the ball right into the pressure and absolutely gets chewed up. Those are turnovers you cannot have in a game like this. And that young freshman's going to have to grow up in a hurry. Mark Pope didn't like what he saw. Jasper Johnson out. Back in with the 3 starting guards.
Mark Pope's message this week was we only have 5 games left. We can't worry about the minutia. We've just got to go out there and win games. The delicate balance he has is trying to figure out what the rotation can be to keep guys like Oweh fresh and to keep a guy like Colin Chandler, who's in foul trouble but back on the floor in the game, by going to subs, and that did not work for Kentucky in the last 5 minutes.
It did not. I saw Akel play 50 minutes the other night. I just think this time of the year, your best 5 better stay on that floor until they are absolutely exhausted.
When I asked Pope about that at shoot-around today, he put it simply. He said, yes, it's a challenge, but if you're a reserve and you get a chance, you have to deliver. You have to do your job.
Yeah. Every possession is magnified now in the middle of February, looking down on March.
Like Michalek gets whistled for his first as he just entered the game for Auburn. Aberdeen back on the floor to run the point for the Cats. Dioubate trying to work on Filip Jelavic. Off the glass and in.
He is just shoots that ball with guts, because that was a very difficult shot. Jelavic did a good job of staying squared up on the ball and just better offense beat good defense.
Overton basically running the point for Auburn now. Transfer from Texas Tech at 6'5", and here's Hall. Hall's got a physical matchup with Dioubate. Jelavic off of, I thought, his leg. Brandon Garrison telling Kentucky bench to challenge it. So they'll have a moment before the ball gets put in play if Mark Pope wants to, and they won't. Auburn has made 3 of its last 4. There's only 6 seconds, though, on the shot clock now. Hall gets it, immediately goes into a drive. Freeman pump fake, and at the end of the shot clock, splashes it down.
Just a defensive mistake right off the bat allowed Auburn to grab a piece of that paint, and the 3-point shot's open.
Denzel Aberdeen with the bucket. Of course, he faced off with Auburn last year in the Final Four when he was at Florida on the way to a national title. Finished with 10 points in that matchup.
Auburn, a heavy dose of cutters right now, is exactly what they've ran for the most part in this game.
Oweh with the block. Michalek back outside. Freeman same spot. Not the same result, and a whistle underneath.
Tom, you don't gamble on out-of-bounds baseline defense, especially in the short clock. And I think Oweh, look right there. He gets on the high side, man, just gambling a little bit. And what does that do? It allows Hall to drive that ball. It forces Garrison to come off, and bam, nothing but the bottom. You've got to stay sound and solid in short clock, out-of-bound under defense.
Oweh has had a lot on his plate all season, not only leading the Cats in scoring, but often drawing the best offensive player to defend. They'll mix it up with Hall tonight. By the way, that was the third on Brandon Garrison, so Moreno back in the game in the post for Kentucky. Tahad Pettiford has returned to the lineup. Chandler playing with 2 fouls here midway through the first. Oweh gets whistled for 1.
A little bit of a slap down by Oweh, who we talked about him earlier, playing as well as anybody in this league on both ends of the floor. The heavy scoring load he has to handle for Kentucky draws the other guy's toughest defensive assignment.
He's been in double figures 59 of 62 games as a Kentucky Wildcat after transferring in from Oklahoma 2 seasons as a Sooner. Here's Tahad Pettiford trying to shake Aberdeen. Leaner, tough shot. Pettiford kept it alive, and Hall did the same. And Auburn's getting every 50-50 ball here early.
No doubt, especially those 50-50 balls on the glass. Just quicker, more determined, tougher on the glass so far on their home floor.
Trent Noah has to return. They'll reset the shot clock, it looks like. Put a few more back on it. Oh, take 2 off, excuse me. So Oweh to the bench for Kentucky. Mark Pope has already been faced with a challenge with the rotation due to early foul trouble and injury. Hall guarded by Moreno. Wants to take the big off the bounce. Goes to his right and left it short. Another offensive board. Drive and no finish for Freeman. From his backside, he loses it out of bounds. A frantic possession on the Auburn end.
Man, one of the great misses in SEC play this year, though, right? My goodness, is this kid athletic.
Second turnover of the game for Auburn. Kentucky, despite struggles on the defensive end, has made 5 of its last 7. Dioubate attacks Hall. And they got a jump ball as Hall tied him up, and that will give Auburn possession.
But I do like what Mark Pope is seeing. He's going some isolation for Dioubate in their elbow series, catching it, squaring up, making the game 15 feet and down, which normally favors Mo Dioubate.
Tigers have missed their last 4 field goal attempts. Here's Pettiford. Whoa, split him. Got off balance and drew the foul on Noah.
Yeah, he has become a tough cover. Tahad Pettiford the last 4 games. Tom, he's only 24% from the three-point line overall in conference play, but he's 39% the last 4. Therefore, Kentucky has to suck up the airspace. Now his dribble game getting downhill comes into play.
Already the 7th foul against Kentucky. Pettiford has been in 20-point land 4 consecutive games. Our Saturday Hoops Spectacular on ESPN and the ESPN app is capped off in the Big 12 by 23rd ranked BYU playing host to number 6 Iowa State. What a massive matchup tonight. A.J. Dioubate has already set the freshman school record for points for BYU, surpassing Danny Ainge's numbers from 77-78.
I watched that game the other night, the first time without Richie Saunders on the floor with Dioubate. He had a usage rate in that game of 46%. That means 46% of the possessions ended with a Dioubate field goal attempt, free throw attempt, or a turnover. A high usage rate in the NBA for the best ones are like 34%. That's how much they're depending on Dioubate now.
Leading the nation in scoring, just shy of 25 a game. That foul was on Williams Adams. Gave the ball back to Kentucky. Auburn leads by 6. Here's Chandler. Better from deep, but now mid-range floater good. He is hyper athletic and has got big hops.
He is great in the last 4 minutes of a game, and he's Kentucky's best in a short clock.
Cats have made 6 of their last 8. Hall has had to work for everything so far tonight. Noah picks him up on the switch. Auburn loves this matchup. Hall, no good. And an over-the-back foul by Keyshawn Murphy. We've got a tight one. Two desperate teams, including Auburn, trying to snap a 5-game losing streak. There are nerves in the jungle tonight. Well, heavy hearts around the Kentucky basketball program this week. 17-year-old high school basketball player from Lebanon, Tennessee, Jaden Bailey, lost his 4-year battle with cancer on Thursday. He was diagnosed with osteosarcoma in 2022.
Tom, I became really pretty good friends with Jaden Bailey from the time that I met him in December in Nashville for that Kentucky-Gonzaga game. Oweh developed a relationship with Jaden Bailey. Mark Pope and I talked about it today. I've never been around a young man that had as much courage, joy, and fight in his life in the middle of, obviously, serious adversity. And Jaden passed away this past Thursday afternoon. His Lebanon high school team, just outside of Nashville, they're actually in the district semifinals tonight. I'm sure they're playing with a heavy heart, but, man, Jaden Bailey impacted a ton of people for who he was and how he fought and how he lived his life.
Here's Malachi Moreno inside, got caught too deep. Mark Pope talked about it today at shoot-around. He said, I'm going to put it pretty simply. I wish we had more Jaden Baileys. We all need to live our life like he did.
Well, I look back, my last text with Jaden was a couple of weeks ago, and he simply said, Coach, I'm not feeling too well, but I'll be okay. And he is now.
Colin Chandler from the corner left it short. Murphy kept it alive, but Jelavic found it. And one of the rare times Kentucky has picked up a loose ball here in the first 13 minutes of this battle tonight. Now Jelavic in the corner. And the Cats 0 for 2 from over there. Chandler, ball fake, got free. And a slow start for Chandler from deep, who had been absolutely scorching over the last 5 games or so. Freeman no good, and here's Chandler at the long rebound.
Remember the early pickup point, well done that time by Overton.
Cats have missed their last 4, make it 5 now with Aberdeen off the mark. Oweh says, why not me? And that's an air ball. And a jump ball will keep it with Kentucky. That was nowhere close.
That was not close at all. Interesting stat that Otega Oweh is shooting 10% on unguarded threes. The opposing coach told me that 2 weeks ago. 10% on unguarded threes. He actually shoots a higher percentage, like under pressure, sidestep a little bit.
Aberdeen with the screen from Moreno. I don't think any coach is saying, okay, let's leave him wide open.
No, they're not. No.
Moreno, late in the shot clock, banks it in.
Well, Auburn's playing small right now, and they got switched up a little bit with Murphy on the outside, so a good job by Moreno to understand it, catch it, keep it high, and score.
Murphy with a handoff for Pettiford. Auburn has missed its last 6 field goal attempts. And Jelavic commits a foul that would put Murphy at the free throw line.
We've seen some physical play going both directions now, which is exactly what both clubs want. And there's the mismatch inside. Look at Moreno with great hands. Catches that thing and quickly gets it up before that defensive rotation from the weak side can come into play. Man, there's just not a lot of room for error with a pass like that being fronted. Really well done on the entry pass.
So it's the first on Andrea Jelavic and Keyshawn Murphy at the free throw line, and that one drops. Auburn, one of the best in the country at getting to the line and converting. Second in the country, nearly 21 points a game from the line and 28 attempts tonight. Perfect.
Tom, when you play Auburn, to me, it's an offensive glass game. Can you keep them off the glass? Can you guard one-on-one because they're exceptional in that area? And as a result, they get to that free throw line with an awfully high rate.
Meanwhile, Kentucky hasn't made it to the free throw line once this game. They haven't had a game yet this season where they've been left without a free throw attempt and a half. Chandler pulls, fouled, and there you go. On cue, he'll go to the line for 3.
He just has a knack, Colin Chandler does, with single digits on that shot clock. And he's the closer with 4 minutes to go in the game. But although this shot doesn't go in, The fly out, yeah, he got into that foot. Pettiford stepped right into that leg, and well, you've got to protect the feet of the shooter. There's no contact up top. I understand that. But he obviously got right into the knee of Colin Chandler. That's the right call.
We got to give the shooter his landing spot. Chandler has 2 more. He's 82% from the free throw line on the season.
Tom, I wish in the college game we would move to those fouls being an F1, because, man, you're in great jeopardy of putting a shooter in an injury situation. It is escalated to that at the NBA level. I think the college game needs to look at those foot fouls on jump shooters.
One more coming for Chandler. Noah will replace him after this free throw. Consecutive games with 5+ threes for Colin Chandler. Kentucky in the last 30 years has not had a player have 3 straight games with 5 threes or more.
Well, the reason why he attracts all that gravity from the defense, since January 1, he and Iowa State's Milan Momcilovic, the best in their league play in terms of three-point shooting.
Cats have made it a 1-point game. It's in large part to Auburn's sloppy offense. Tigers haven't made a field goal since the 10-15 mark, and now 0 for their last 7, but a foul on the rebound. It's a second on Oweh, and already Jimmy Dykes foul trouble for Kentucky starters. Chandler 2, Oweh 2, and Garrison has 3 off the bench.
And Mark Fox talking to Mark Pope. Do we substitute? Do we trust Oweh right now?
First miss from the line tonight for Auburn. And you wonder with Oweh's style of play, that impacts his ferocious drives on the offensive end.
Bad free throw shooters and guys with foul trouble impact your play call as a head coach. And that might be where Mark Pope is right now. Maybe you don't see those hard NASCAR cuts turning to his left, because to your point, he could be a charge waiting to happen right now.
Here's Oweh behind Moreno's screen, drives, nifty with the kiss off the glass.
Well, there's our answer. Forget about that. Oweh, just do what you do, right? Work your way through a crowd and use those big shoulders to get to the weak side.
Man, if he were a running back, he'd make it through the hole before anybody touched him. Overton pulls. Good block out. Murphy, strong move, but couldn't convert, and Oweh finds the rebound. Numbers for the Cats if they want it. Oweh all the way down the lane and fouled on his way in.
Well, Otega Oweh knows one thing when he's on the floor, and that is to be a forceful downhill driver, and he loves to start on the left side, and this time he snakes his way through. Auburn trying to ice him and down him, not letting him come to that middle. And Oweh just sees the space created by that ice action. And man, what a strong, tough body with finesse finish.
And the home crowd has a reason to be upset. That whistle against Keyshawn Murphy looked like no physical contact at all. However, the scouting report shared at Auburn Film this afternoon was very, very deliberate with Otega Oweh. He is 80% from the floor in transition. He is the most dangerous player on the run in the game.
We talked about how you defend Oweh differently than Colin Chandler when Kentucky's pushing that ball. Yeah, he is a nightmare, man, coming downhill in the open floor. One of 8 guys in Division I right now that's double figures every game in college ball.
Here's Pettiford. Auburn has gone ice.
Wow.
That'll heat him up.
Tom, that is a ridiculously hard pass by Pettiford, who's left-handed, be going with his right and throw that right thing to the left side of the rim.
First making 10 attempts for Auburn. Oweh lost it on the baseline. A Kentucky turnover. Auburn's got the lead, and at the timeout, Auburn's got momentum. This will deliver it.
Watch Pettiford off the bounce, man. He works off that ball screen and going to his right as a left-handed guy and then be able to throw that thing back to the other side of the rim. Man, that is special. Saturday night in the SEC.
It has been a celebration. What a game between Duke and Michigan. I was wondering why they were playing that game, Jimmy. Remember back in November we spent time with John Shire, and he shared with us that Duke last year had 0 quad 1 games at home in ACC play. He said, I got to go on the road during conference play and get some competition.
Yeah, what a big-time atmosphere, man, as close as you can get to a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type game today.
Duke actually played more SEC quad 1A games last year than ACC. Turnover for Auburn. Lenardi has updated his numbers here this afternoon thanks to some finals throughout the game. Michigan, of course, number 1. Duke right behind them. And Houston sitting there as a 1 seed.
How about Arizona? The win of the day today at Houston without Koa Pete. And they out-defended Houston, which you don't say very often. Anthony Delorso I think he had 22 points. Jaden Bradley was terrific, man. On the road against Houston, Jaden Bradley played 37 minutes, 1 turnover. Man, that's why you're built to do great things in March.
Philip Jelavic whistled for the foul for Auburn. Here's Denzel Aberdeen. 3.5 to play in the first half. Dioubate challenged in the paint. Moreno with the offensive board.
Auburn is switching the middle ball screen for Aberdeen, and they're icing the side ball screens, and it's been pretty effective against 1 in blue so far.
Aberdeen step back 3, was halfway home. Pettiford the rebound. Pettiford full head of steam. Guarded by Trent Noah.
Nice
Another
pass.
beautiful feed. Wow. And a look inside the Williams-Adams.
I'm not sure what Denzel Aberdeen saw, but he's protecting. He's in the plugger spot. And Tahat Pettiford just came off that thing and threw a strike.
10 of Auburn's 35 points have come on dunks already tonight. Oweh delivers an answer.
He knows one way to play the game. Get me the ball and get me downhill. And he just bounces people off of him. You don't bounce him off his path. He bounces you off yours.
Noah charged with the blocking foul. Williams-Adams was a freight train.
Well, when Pettiford right here, he's going to get to that left hand off this ball screen. And Aberdeen just falls asleep right under the goal. He cheats out towards Jelavic and forgets his own guy. And that's what Oweh does. Even in that 2-man game on the side, with the bounce coming downhill or without it, he comes with force.
Well, here's Sebastian Williams-Adams at the free throw line. 17th consecutive start for this Auburn team. That one falls off. Tomorrow morning on ESPN and the ESPN app, the Women's College Game Day crew is in Soda City, Columbia, South Carolina, 11 a.m. Eastern. Get you set for a big day of women's hoops, highlighted by 5 top 25 teams, including number 3 South Carolina hosting Ole Miss at noon. Then Oklahoma hosts number 21 Tennessee. And the afternoon capped off with 12th ranked TCU playing host to the Cyclones of Iowa State.
Yeah, if you're starting to think about the women's NCAA tournament right now, UConn, UCLA, South Carolina, and Texas, looks like they have those number 1 seeds locked up.
You got Charlie Cream on speed dial?
Yeah, I do.
Here's Jelavic.
Just got ripped.
And Pettiford ahead of the pack. Finger roll, fouls out.
Great job by Aberdeen, man, to come back and get involved in that play and distract Pettiford at the rim.
Interesting matchup on this end. Jelavic guarding Jelavic. They were teammates last year. 2 of 5 Division I players playing for KK Megabet in the Adriatic League. Now he picks up Aberdeen and lost him with the spin move. Rebounded Jelavic and over his former teammate.
I just think he's going to save Kentucky a game down the stretch. He has the ability to pick and pop. He's got some drive and toughness about him.
Neither team doing a great job on the defensive glass tonight. Once again, former teammates head-to-head, poked away by Jelavic.
You better put multiple jerseys on Oweh.
Jelavic. Jimmy, we should go call games in the Adriatic League. Little finger roll on the left side falls short.
That will not work. In a game like this, anything soft is not going to be rewarded.
Pettiford loses Dioubate. And Noah with the board. Here's Oweh. Two-hand jam, and Hall found him.
Why would Keyshawn Hall even get close in that situation? Oweh's in front of you. You're not going to take it away because he's going with him with two hands. This cat is not a finesse finisher. And Oweh, you're too valuable if you're Keyshawn Hall. He's out in front of you, let it go. And, man, I don't know where the exact contact was, but Todd Austin and crew saw it. But regardless, if you're Keyshawn Hall, man, just hands off, give him two, pat him on the backside, and play on.
I feel like this crew tonight has anticipated a couple of calls on Kentucky drives.
That looked like one right there. It just wasn't a lot there. And Stephen Pearl, I'm sure, having a similar conversation with Courtney Green.
Last home game against Vanderbilt, Pearl picked up a technical.
Speaking of Vanderbilt, Tennessee starting to shape like they could be another team out of this SEC that can make a deep run in March. They absolutely perimeter defense today. Got after it, a really good Vanderbilt team on the perimeter. And Nate Ament, Tom, he made a shot with under a minute to go that only a good pro can make.
Feel like Nate Ament may turn into a Durant or Carmelo in the postseason.
It's going to be interesting to see where he is 5 years compared to the DeBonces and the Boozers and the Petersons of the world, because he still has a ceiling that not even close to being touched.
7-second difference between the shot and game clock. Kentucky on a 7-0 run to take a 4-point lead. 10 to shoot. Here's Hall behind Jovic's screen.
Get up.
No good. Auburn struggling to close the half. Noah trying to get through the trap. 7 on the clock. Here's Dioubate. Now 4. Aberdeen out to Noah for 3. Hadn't made a bucket this month, and he can't cash in there. Kentucky, though, will take a 4-point lead into the break. 48% from the floor for Kentucky, only 34% for Auburn, but the Cats with a 7-0 run over the last 2:31, and the physical play of Oweh has paced Kentucky once again tonight. Back cut with the dunk. He's gotten it done in transition. We got a fun one back and forth to the studio. Here's Kevin Connors. You're watching the SEC on ESPN. Through 20 minutes, 8 lead changes and 7 ties. Here are the particulars. Auburn's been to the free throw line 13 times already, twice as many trips as Kentucky. But Keyshawn Hall, their leading scorer, very inefficient, 2 for 10 shooting and only 1 for 5 for 3. Meanwhile, Oweh scored 8 of the last 10 for Kentucky as they close the half on a 7-0 run. Welcome back. Tom Hart alongside Jimmy Dykes. What we expected through the first 20 minutes, 2 desperate teams just throwing haymakers.
Yeah, no doubt. I like what Kentucky's done with Oweh. He's been the most physical driver of the ball in this game. And to your point about Keyshawn Hall, Tom, he has not taken a free throw attempt in this game. And Keyshawn Hall averages 8-9 free throw attempts a game. So Kentucky's doing a good job of defending him without fouling. Very important right now for Kentucky. You're managing some foul trouble. Oweh, Colin Chandler, you cannot pick up that third quick in this second half.
What a job by Oweh to get to the rim so far tonight. He is in the zone, brought to you by AutoZone.
Yeah, he's 5 out of 8 from the floor. And just a downhill, dynamite, strong, forceful dude he thrives in contact. He bounces people off. One defender cannot keep him from getting to where he wants to go in the spot. And he's an absolute beast out in transition. And the only guy in this game with double figures is Oweh on his way to a 24 or 25-point game.
He is the second best rim finisher for a guard in the SEC behind Billy Richmond, who had another big game for Arkansas today as John Calipari's team knocked off Missouri. Cats undefeated when leading at the half. Tigers just 2-10 when trailing, and another early whistle. That's how the game started for Kentucky. Andrea Jelavic picks up his second.
Tom, let's go back to Keyshawn Hall for Auburn. The leading scorer. He's too good of a player and too impactful to stay closed off in the second half. And if you're Kentucky, you've got to make sure, man, you're dialed on this guy. Because isolation basketball, one-on-one, He can single-handedly put Kentucky in foul trouble in the second half.
The importance of this game for Auburn cannot be overstated. Right now, Lunardi's got them the last among the last 4 byes. And a season on the brink right now to try to return to the NCAA tournament. And they made it all the way to the second Final Four in school history last year. Chandler back to jam. Hoppy Chandler throws it down.
How good is that by Mark Pope to say, hey, to start the second half, Auburn's going to come out. They're going to overplay, pressure, they'll be ignited. We're going to run some burn action and burn that back cut off. So well done by Colin Chandler.
That dude has springs. Here's Pettiford. An air ball in front of Aberdeen, and an attempted spike save ends up with Jelavic. Here's Jelavic for 3. Big one.
He's a very important guy for Kentucky going forward right now because of that ability right there. He's a 40% three-point shooter. He only takes 2 a game. That number needs to double, if not more.
Hall tried to split the defense, able to pick up an Oweh foul.
And it's so good when you can come out of the timeout and Chandler sets a flare screen, but then he just dives right out of it and burns that pressure off. The pass delivered up top so well by Moreno.
Auburn was ice cold to close the first half. Pettiford trying to get it going. Contact with Jelavic, no whistle, and put back left under the rim by Murphy. Empty possession for the Tigers.
And Auburn has missed a lot of shots at the rim in this game.
Chandler short on the 3, Hall the rebound. Auburn is just 2 for 12 on layups tonight, Jimmy Dykes.
That's my point. I was guessing, but you backed it up with a number.
Now, better when they've made all 5 of their dunks, so they got that going for them. Hey, just dunk it. 5 in the shot clock.
No foul.
All baseline, short. Moreno to Chandler. What a nifty pass to Oweh. And the Cats are rolling now.
Colin Chandler just knows how to make winning plays. I mean, his awareness to get that ball, just a flip of the wrist to Oweh, and a hot start owned by Kentucky in the second half. It started off with a back cut burn action by Kentucky with Colin Chandler. But then Colin Chandler right here, that loose ball, boom, flip of the wrist from the left paw to Oweh. No one better in this league got in front of the defense than 0-0.
Derailed by injuries, a 3-year starter. Averaged 12 points and 7 boards a game and fought through a devastating knee injury at the end of his Auburn career. Here's Keyshawn Hall going to work for Auburn. Tigers need to get him going. They've been outscored 14-2 over the close of the first half and start of the second. Williams-Adams inside. Another miss from point-blank range and then a foul against Oweh.
Now,
like a jump ball. Pardon me.
I'm thinking about this for Auburn. They have made 12 free throws in the game. They've only made 11 shots in the game. You're in the second half and you've made more free throws and field goals. And that's why Kentucky right now in the middle of that 14-2 run.
Chandler was limited with a couple of personal fouls in the first half. He's already impacted the second half of action. Oweh, pull up mid-range, short, out to Jelavic. Another crack at it for the Cats. Jelavic for 3. No good. Pettiford nearly turned it over. And now Murphy from the block.
Well, the 2 possessions out of the timeout, Stephen Pearl is driving that ball inside and hammered inside. I think he feels like this isn't a game we can finesse shoot our way back in. We've got to get things done in that paint.
It was the first bucket for Auburn that wasn't a 3 or a dunk since the 15-18 mark of the first half. That is wild. Oweh for 3. And Pettiford the board. On the run, Murphy. Nice footwork and great hands.
He just outran Moreno, as simple as you can put it. Rim to rim, Murphy, the older guy with SEC experience, just went and got 2 easy ones. Tom, you heard me say it before. You can be tired. You can't play tired in this league. When you do 1 possession, you'll give up 2 points, and that's what happened to Moreno.
Bedford with the reach in his second.
Well, the last 2 hoops, Stephen Pearl saying, look, I know we're missing shots around the rim. We've got to keep going in there. That's a big part of our offense on the year. And there's what I'm talking about. Just outran, hustle, effort play by Keyshawn Murphy. Game of the year in college basketball, but those 4 guys have been special this year.
Here's Chandler to Dioubate. I don't think it was a mistake that John Calipari mentioned post-game that his star player had been in a boot but refused to sit and played all 50 minutes.
Yeah, we've seen guys not play through injuries this year and soreness, but look at this separation right now. It feels like Florida, Bama, Arkansas, Tennessee may be starting to separate a little bit.
Can anybody catch Florida?
First 4 spots, man, it's going to be tough. The way they're playing. Florida made 11 threes today as Auburn makes 1. And now Florida's over 30% from the 3-point line, which is the number they have to be at if they're a serious Final Four contender, and they are.
It is suddenly a 7-0 Auburn run, and the Tigers have made it a 1-possession game.
At 17:30 timeout by Stephen Pearl. He has found something in the water that he likes.
Cats have missed their last 4.
Bad pass.
Away. Freeman with the interception, and he gets it out to Hall for 3. Williams-Adams crashes the glass. Another crack at it for the Tigers. Pettiford whips it inside. Jelavic, no good. Cats in a scoring drought nearing 3.5 minutes, and Chandler back-to-back turnovers. And then Hall coughs it up and loses it out of bounds.
Yeah, Colin Chandler trying to feed the post on the right side with no success, and the same thing on the left side. And he gets into a jawing match with Moreno, telling Moreno, you got to hold your guy off, but that's the responsibility of the passer to understand also who you're throwing it to. If Moreno's not doing his job, don't throw it to him. Those 2 guys need to sit down and come to an agreement that this game's way more important than your personal feelings right now. Do your job.
9 turnovers for Kentucky, including the last 2 possessions. Chandler takes a seat. Noah replaces him.
Well, they're doing a good job, Auburn, of forcing Aberdeen to go weak to his left in that middle third.
He backs down Pettiford. Offensive board, Dioubate took a bump. They're letting him go inside. Noah kicks it out. Noah had a good look at a 3 to beat the halftime buzzer that was in and out. Oweh off balance, collects, and draws the whistle.
Tom, he just wears you out with his effort. I mean, he drove that play. There was no play to be made. He just drove it right through 3 white jerseys and then won the scrap for the ball.
So Oweh at the free throw line. Just 64% at conference play. And he bangs down the first. Here's our ABC NBA Sunday Showcase doubleheader. Donovan Mitchell and the Cavs are in OKC squaring off against Chet Holmgren and the Thunder at 1 Eastern. Then the Warriors, Jokic and the Nuggets, Ernie, Kenny, and a birthday boy, Charles, with Shaq back in the house. Get it all started at 12:30 Eastern, 9:30 Pacific. They wished Charles happy birthday last night with about 2,000 ping pong balls right on his head. 16.7 boards and 3 assists for Oweh.
Well, Chandler back in, and Brandon Garrison now holding down that 5 spot, and he's got to produce, Brandon Garrison. He's got to defend that rim. He's got to make rim shots when they come available. He's got to be a good hard defender right now.
Hall gives it up to Freeman, finds a gap.
Yeah, you can't gamble. You absolutely can't gamble when Auburn gets those offense spread. Those gaps are too big, man.
Chandler back cut. Kentucky won for its last 9. Back to Chandler and to Noah. Chandler from the logo. And he's not having a great shooting night tonight. A big departure from his recent run. Just 1 for 5 from deep. Garrison ends up with it after Noah knocked it loose.
On the official stat sheet, there should be a line for bad shots taken. That was probably one by Chandler. He has not had a great 2 minutes.
And then another near turnover, and Pettiford ends up committing the foul. Oh, pardon me. They got the 10-second violation. 10th turnover of the game for Kentucky. What an effort by Pettiford.
Seldom do you see Colin Chandler a little bit rattled, but back-to-back turnovers, and he takes a logo 3, would tend to go on the shot clock, and then just one-man press, it got deflected, and there's the 10-second count.
Wow. It's the last time you saw a 10-second call.
Yeah. About 20 seconds ago.
That is the 3rd turnover for Colin Chandler this half.
Yeah. Very uncharacteristic. I think he's one of Kentucky's most toughest guys.
Jelavic goes right into him. Got numerous catch in the air and draws the whistle. And Chandler still down on the ground.
And just so much contact to go uncalled on that play. Jelavic has a motor. But he gets Chandler caught in a mismatch. And watch this, boom, right there. To me, that's an offensive foul. Colin Chandler is in legal guarding position. There's nothing else he can do. And he just ran smooth over. No foul called. And Jelavic finds himself at the free throw line.
Dioubate ends up picking up the foul. Jelavic is 54% from the line on the season. Freshman from Bosnia, Herzegovina. Played for KK Megabet in the Adriatic League last year. The same team that Kentucky played a few years ago in the Bahamas, one of their foreign tours in 2018.
Tom, he's coming off of no points, 11 minutes played game in Mississippi State. And you go back and watch the film, he had probably 4 defensive mistakes in about a 2-minute period. Nights like that, you just set a guy down and say, I can't play, I'm sorry, we'll try again next time.
Auburn on a 10-2 run over the last 4.5. They haven't led since 2.5 in the first half. Aberdeen. Hall with the one-handed rebound. Hall pushes. Hall all the way. And an empty possession. Here's Oweh with the run out. Another pass inside, and Garrison eventually converts.
I just talked about how Garrison has to give Mark Pope 3 or 4 good minutes. Man, what an effort play to run that floor by Brandon Garrison and come up with it in traffic.
Jelavic whips it to Hall. Hall nearly left it behind. He has been sloppy on the offensive end. Powers his way in, doesn't get the whistle.
Good job by Brandon Garrison, man, to fight Hall on that drive, defend without fouling. Mark Pope's getting exactly what he needs out of Garrison with Moreno on the bench.
Kentucky has just won for its last 10. Aberdeen has nowhere to go.
You got to shoot it.
Chandler in no man's land. 1 on the shot clock. Dioubate heaves it, and Freeman has a run-out rebound. 5 on 3. Freeman outside Pettiford all alone.
I think Kentucky wants a timeout, Tom.
Oweh will bring it across midcourt and get it. Catch is 1 for their last 11.
Well, it's an Auburn team that is desperate. They come in losers of 5 in a row. They're sliding on the wrong side of the projection for the NCAA tournament. Just when it looked like Kentucky to start the second half and deliver a knockout blow, Auburn has answered a good one on the Plains.
Yeah, I mean, that was obviously devastating. That was probably the worst loss I've ever been a part of at Auburn. And, yeah, we just got to try and take what we did well in those 15 minutes. And, your season's on the line on Saturday. If you don't win on Saturday, you're probably firmly on the bubble and out of the tournament. So, put some pressure on yourself.
First-year head coach at Auburn. His team was down 18 against State and then went up 7 and still couldn't close. The number one strength of schedule, Jimmy Dykes. They have played all 4 other Final Four teams from last year. They played Houston, Michigan, St. John's. They went to Arizona. They took on Purdue. And that was just the non-conference.
Well, and now Stephen Pearl has to push the right buttons. I mean, you lost 5 in a row. You have inherited the nation's toughest schedule, but the SEC is an unforgiving league. Number 1 Ken Palm league in the country is the SEC this year. So Stephen Pearl is a smart guy and brutally competitive like his dad.
Denzel Aberdeen.
Wow, how big was that?
Huge 3.
How big was that by Aberdeen? To not feel that shot clock pressure rise and fire.
I was in Auburn's film study before shoot-around today. He told his guy in a very spirited conversation, I want to celebrate tonight. I want you to celebrate tonight. You have worked too hard to this point of the season to not have earned the opportunity to celebrate a huge home win.
Well, if they're going to do it, Auburn only 10 offensive rebounds in this game. They've missed 32 shots. Their offensive rebound percentage is about 31%. It's 38% on the year. They've got to get damage on the points right now off that glass.
Here's Brandon Garrison. 7 on the shot clock. Chandler for 3. Quick release. And Hall with the rebound. Chandler just 1 for 6 from deep. Murphy. Pick up.
That's twice in this half that the bigs of Auburn, leaking out or not, somebody's got to recognize it and run foot for foot. And a big basket again for Auburn in transition.
1 possession game. 9 minutes to play. Dioubate going to work. Another rebound for Hall. He hasn't had it on the offensive end, just 2 for 14, but that's his 8th rebound. Now looking for an assist to Murphy. What a move.
How good has Keyshawn Murphy been in this second half? I mean, for a 6'11 guy, Tom, to roll out that thing, and to your point about Keyshawn Hall, he ain't scoring, but he's defending his tail off on the defensive glass, and a big play made out of the ball screen action.
Timeout, Mark Pope in Kentucky. Auburn is on a 6-0 run, and we are tied at 53. Back in a half minute.
You knew Auburn would come in with a desperate effort tonight, and look at Keyshawn Murphy. He just leaks out, and no one recognizes it. I mean, Colin Chandler's the last guy back. You got to run with him. Forget the wing coverage. And Keyshawn Hall to Keyshawn Murphy. To your point, Tom Hart, yeah, Keyshawn Hall 2 out of 14 in this game, but he has 8 rebounds and 6 assists. Impacting winning without scoring. Man, that's a big deal right now for Stephen Pearl.
That's a guy who didn't finish the Vanderbilt game on the floor.
Yeah.
He sat for the last 6 minutes or so. Then he was suspended, and we got Moreno with a shot to the face on Murphy. Hall did not even dress for the Arkansas game, and they are going to take a further look at this and see if a flagrant will be assessed to Malachi Moreno. And, Jimmy, that happened 45 feet from the basket.
To finish up your point about Keyshawn Hall being suspended for a game, he told me what he learned. My team needs me, and everything matters. On the floor, off the floor, everything matters.
And this whistle matters. Could be a flagrant on Malachi Moreno, the top of the key with a shot to Murphy. We'll take a look at it when we return to Auburn. Our officiating crew went to the monitor, and they decided that is simply a common foul on Malachi Moreno.
Yeah, they say that Malachi Moreno right there is posting up, and what they said was they felt like the Keyshawn Murphy actually moved into the elbow. He moves forward, and Moreno trying to post up, and they saw nothing that would escalate it. If you're a Kentucky fan, it's the right call. If you're an Auburn fan, it's a bad call. That's how that one will be viewed.
And so it's a 6-0 run. You were talking a moment ago about Keyshawn Hall. He had a spirited conversation with Stephen Pearl a couple of possessions ago. He's impacting the game even without having an efficient offensive night. Just 2 for 14, but he can get going any second. Meanwhile, Freeman takes it upon himself to launch. Murphy is there, and he draws another whistle.
Tom, in a tight game, I'm telling you, the next 8 minutes, the quality of my shot versus the quality of your shot as Bruce Pearl watches on. He understands it right now, man. Who can get and manufacture the best looks? The remaining 8:13 in this game.
He's here to support his son and for the annual Outlive game. Meanwhile, you saw Williams Adams walk right by him, head back to the Auburn locker room.
Bruce Pearl is so competitive. A few years ago, I did the Outlive game, and we both got our fingers pricked and got tested for the prostate cancer. And after the game, Bruce Pearl called me on my drive home, and the first thing he said, "Hey, what was your number and what was mine?" Like he wanted his number to be better than my number. Then we talked about the game. That's how competitive Bruce Pearl, Stephen Pearl, the whole family is. Even those blood test scores, he wants to win.
2 trips to the Final Four, and what a fantastic job. It originated when he was the head coach at Tennessee, and he had Chris Lofton playing for him. It was a tremendous show they put together on the SEC Network going over Chris Lofton's battle. He played an entire season, Chris Lofton did, with cancer, and they didn't tell anybody. 2 Final Fours here, and left the job to his son. They're at the monitor now, and we think they're trying to figure out who that last foul was on. 2019 and 2025. And indeed, they're going to give it to Oweh. And for Otega Oweh, that is his 4th personal foul. So Auburn with a 1-point lead, and Keyshawn Murphy has been the key for Auburn tonight. He has really picked up his game in SEC play. He's got 4 double-doubles this year, all of them against conference opponents. He's well over his season average now with an 18.9.
Auburn makes 21 free throws per game in SEC play, and they're creeping towards that number with their 15th make.
Tigers have eked ahead by 2. Turnovers have been an issue for Kentucky tonight. They've coughed it up 11 times. Oweh on the bench. Who will take the offensive load? Chandler lost it. Another turnover for Colin Chandler, his 4th in the second half.
Man, did Auburn compete defensively on this possession. And Colin Chandler, I said it, he's been rattled in this second half, which is something that I don't say about Colin Chandler ever. But just he has been sped up by this Auburn defense a couple of times.
Auburn trying to add to its lead. Here's Overton, past Chandler in the layup.
Man, another burn cut. Kentucky's up pressure, and Stephen Pearl lifts that offense. It's a must-win, in the words of Stephen Pearl tonight.
10-0 Auburn run. Moreno in traffic. Off balance. Murphy the rebound. Here comes Auburn again.
That should have been a foul. I mean, the defender from behind is responsible for the contact.
They brought a double, and it turns into a turnover. Aberdeen down the paint. Finger roll, no good. Dioubate blocked. They get a whistle on Overton. And Kentucky will go to the line to try to snap a 10-0 Auburn run.
Man, he knows. Was as frustrated as he's been in his young coaching career after the loss to Mississippi State on Wednesday, and severely challenged his guys the last 3 days getting ready for this one.
Otega Oweh returns to the court for Kentucky. He'll play with 4 personal fouls. coming off of a 28-point performance in their home loss to Georgia, only their 5th home loss ever against the Bulldogs. Dioubate. 2 for 2 for Mo Dioubate. It's a game that Kentucky led by 9 at one point.
And Tom, Auburn can be aggressive defensively with only 3 team fouls in this second half.
Murphy and Hall, game of keys. Hall drives and kicks, nothing there. Overton from 15, off balance, why not?
Good job by Overton, knowing that Oweh is not going to foul me. He got to his sweet spot and pulled up. He's that third scorer that you have to be concerned with behind Pettiford and Hall.
Oweh down the lane. Nice kiss off the glass.
He went right at Keyshawn Murphy.
We know that foul trouble will not stop Otega Oweh on the offensive end. We'll see if Auburn tries to attack him on the defensive end.
Oweh has really grown as a rim finisher since transferring from Oklahoma.
Freeman mid-range, no good. Noah the board. Dump off for Aberdeen in transition. Offensive rebound.
3 white jerseys watching, 1 blue jersey rebounding.
16th offensive rebound and another second chance bucket. Oweh's got 19 now.
It's just amazing. The ball knows if you don't rebound me as a defensive rebounder, the next time I got a chance to go in, and man, what a terrific rebound in traffic by Kentucky for the 2.
Pettiford rejected by Moreno. Oweh leading the break. Gave it up, and Aberdeen has it blocked. Nine ties, 9 lead changes tonight. 5 minutes to play. Murphy rolls it home. Auburn back in front.
Yeah, Kentucky doesn't come with a second defender, and this allows Murphy, the older guy, with poise and patience and strength for the finish.
Murphy's a bucket away from a career high. Here's Oweh. 10 to shoot, Aberdeen. Moreno with the mismatch.
He may need help.
Attacked Hall. Hall stripped it away. It'll stay with Kentucky, but they'll have just 2.7 on the shot clock.
Well, Moreno is a lob threat right now, Tom, because Kentucky is small on the floor. There's Overton getting to his spot, knowing Oweh's not going to reach in. I'm going to have a clean look at it. Watch for Moreno with some type of roll action. With Murphy not on the floor, Auburn is small.
Moreno 24 in blue.
Throw it up.
Got to get rid of it. And gets the whistle.
You could see it coming. I mean, no size on the floor, and Moreno was your pressure release on that baseline out of bounds under. A good job with a tough grab in traffic and gets himself to that free throw line.
Sebastian Williams-Adams with his second personal. Moreno taking his time. Stephen Pearl is living and dying with every whistle tonight.
Yeah. That's what happens when you slide one seat over.
I think he was like that as an assistant as well.
Yeah, he was.
So more on his shoulders tonight.
That whole Pearl household. Moreno, a 70+% free throw shooter in conference play. The ball gets behind his head a little bit. He's going to have to smooth that out. It's a little bit of a launch for me. The ball goes back before it goes forward. He'll work on it in the offseason.
And he slingshots in 1 of 2.
Yeah, good description.
Chandler, Garrison return. Oweh will steal at least 26 seconds on the bench in foul trouble, with Auburn up by 1. Who's going to make the play down the stretch for Auburn?
7 White's a good option. I know he struggled, but he can go off at any minute.
Just 2 for 14 tonight. With the offhand and 1. Great call, Jimmy Dykes. Keyshawn Hall going to the free throw line.
Well, you know him as well as I do. That's the kind of guy that can go 2 for 14 and make his next 4 or 5 in a row. He is not bothered by misses. He's a highly competitive dude that led the Big 12 in scoring last year. And Stephen Pearl gets the mismatch with Brandon Garrison, the 5-man, trying to check him initially. And just not enough length around that rim to keep 7 away from it.
I talked with Keyshawn after his suspension against the Arkansas game. He said, I am growing. I'll do a better job of being better in that position, and we're on to the next play.
Yeah.
He was onto it against Mississippi State. He had a monster game. Scoring has been slow, but he's gotten it done on both ends tonight. Auburn with a 2-possession lead. Oweh back on the floor. They couldn't wait for the under 4. Here's Oweh off the feed from Chandler. Lost control, went up and down. They say it's a jump ball. They got a hand on it. Alternating possession takes it to Stephen Pearl's Auburn team, leading by 4.
Stephen Pearl questioned his team defense the last couple of days with me that I talked to him. He has drawn a line and said no more. And Auburn has gotten key stops in this game. They've done a good job, Tom, of staying square on the ball, not opening up their hips, making life difficult. And Oweh, one of the better drivers in this league, goes in, and Auburn surrounded with white jerseys, and there's a play by Murphy. Take your post defender high, step low, big time finish coming up here in Auburn.
ESPN, Tom.
By KC, thanks. Meanwhile, we're going over bracketology in the SEC, and Auburn bringing up the rear. Jimmy Dykes.
Yeah, look at that right there, man. That says this is a must finish for Auburn with 3:51 to go on their home floor. Not a lot of room for error. Interesting that Ken Palm has SEC ranked as the #1 league overall with those 11 teams. I think they're going to finish with 10 or 11, just right ahead of the Big Ten in terms of numbers, and the Big 12 is top-heavy. Doesn't have the depth of the SEC this year, but, man, a crucial 342 now for Stephen Pearl in his young coaching career.
Meanwhile, bubble team UCLA is in overtime as Murphy gets a jam.
Man,
what
Keyshawn.
a night. It's a career high for Keyshawn Murphy.
He has been a monster in this second half.
Oweh waits in the corner. Aberdeen takes it himself and gets another second 3 this half for Denzel Aberdeen.
They are so good, those Kentucky guards at the under 4-minute mark. They are fearless. They shoot that thing with confidence. They come off of it quick.
Hall on Moreno. And through the head back, got the whistle.
He has such a fallible game, Hall does. And Stephen Pearl's called a good game. You go back as a coach and think, how good was I in my play calls? Out of that timeout, they run a 2-man game, a little bit of confusion with also an extra cutter up top. And then that's what I'm talking about with Aberdeen. Those Kentucky guards are hard to close out. Aberdeen, Oweh, Chandler.
So Hall earns another. Jimmy, I was talking to him about his approach at the free throw line. I had one coach critically say, well, he's pretty casual. Keyshawn Hall said that's by design. My dad taught me when I was growing up, shoot free throws like you're at the rec center. Take the pressure off your shoulders, use the same routine. He's had it since high school, and knock him down so you don't get tense.
I love it. And now you look at Auburn. They have now made 18 free throws in this game. They're averaging 21. They're breathing down on it. And the best cheerleader in the building is not wearing a skirt. It's Bruce Pearl.
He's dressed as a cheerleader before, though.
He has.
Here's Oweh alone for 3. Got it!
There you go. And that's that unguarded 3 that he has not been great at, but under pressure, like I'm telling you, under 4-minute mark, those Kentucky guards, man, they shoot that thing with their guts as much as anything.
That is the first 3 for Oweh tonight.
Kentucky's going zone and just pointing things out, and they thought they lost. Oh, they got lucky there. They lost that baseline runner.
It goes out of bounds off of Auburn.
Oweh has a very unique shot. We've talked about he sticks the ball out and then up. And Stephen Pearl knows, oh, man.
Oweh downhill. Got
Great
it off
call.
the glass. 5 straight for Oweh.
Not a good call, a great call to fake Colin Chandler coming up with a ghost action And Colin Chandler breaks it off and lets Oweh get down that left side.
Tied at 68, 148 to go. Murphy for three. Yes,
Wow.
he is feeling it. Keyshawn Murphy has a career high, and Auburn is up by 3.
You can't be completely surprised by that three-point shot. He's made 11 in conference play coming in against the zone, dials it up. What a finish coming up. Now, Keyshawn Murphy has been through this league a bunch of times. He understands physicality. He understands how to close out games. Just absolutely has worn Kentucky out with effort plays running the floor. And he's all about contact and finishing. And he made a huge three, only his 12th made three of the season, but it's all about Keyshawn Murphy's effort, toughness, and a great set of paws. Auburn has just continued to jackhammer that ball inside, and there's Keyshawn Murphy against that Kentucky zone. He's wide open and sees a good rim from up top. Bangs down his 12th three of the game of the season at a critical time for War Eagle.
Spider-Man shooting his web, second half, 17 points on 7 of 9. It's a career high 25 in the game with 9 boards. Stephen Pearl had a very direct plea to his team at film today. He said, "You've got to fight for it, and I will have your back."
Yeah.
And they have played with great effort tonight.
Well, now it's about closing it out. And if you know Kentucky basketball as well as I do, 5 in blue, Colin Chandler is the guy that you do not leave at the 4-minute mark on. And Stephen Pearl told his guys that today. In a close game, we cannot let Colin Chandler get loose for a three.
10 ties, 9 lead changes. Oweh for 3, fouled,
Why?
and he's going to the line.
Why, Tom, why? That's your best individual defender on the year, Williams Adams, but man, he just gets over aggressive. You got Oweh taking a tough three off the bounce. And Oweh gets that right foot back behind the line, and Adams jumps towards him. Critical mistake at a crucial time.
Oweh 4 of 6 from the line tonight. Stephen Pearl could barely stand that last call. He thought about slamming the table. That gave him a warning against the Vandy game. He told me this week, "I guess I can't slam the table anymore." He's learning in his first year. Oweh makes the second, one more coming.
Well, he has seen his guys make defensive mistake after defensive mistake over the last 4 or 5 ball games. That was one that you just cannot do in a game like this.
And the frustration from the Mississippi State game was that so many of those mistakes were scouting report mistakes, a lack of focus. Another monster night from Otega Oweh. The last 4 lead guards against Auburn have gone for 25, 25, 31, and 46. And Otega Oweh has a 27-point night cooking.
Got 12 different guys this year against Auburn have had their season or career high from the three-point line. And that's a big statement about your defense and lack of.
Pettiford turns it over. Aberdeen dumps it off for Oweh. Garrison's follow falls off, and Hall's got another rebound.
The ones you absolutely have to make.
Keyshawn Hall is flirting with a triple-double as we approach the 1-minute mark.
And what does Stephen Pearl want to do offensively? He normally trusts 7 in white or 0 in white to handle that rock in isolation basketball one-on-one.
It's Hall now. 5 on the shot clock. Chandler got a piece of it. Oweh out front, and Kentucky back in front.
How about the defensive hands by Kentucky on the one-on-one play by Hall?
Under a minute to play. Oweh's got a career-high 29. We have had 10 ties, 10 lead changes. Freeman now working on Dioubate. Freeman not the first choice. Murphy's played like the first choice tonight. Breaks down Garrison. Short. Kentucky with the ball in the lead. Shot clock off. They got a foul, and Aberdeen will go to the line after Pettiford corralled it.
I did not like that offensive possession by Auburn. The defense never had to move. And look at Colin Chandler. He comes in with that right hand. He struggled in the second half, but a big-time rip on the spin move by Auburn. Right there, Colin Chandler comes down and gets ball. He gets Oweh out in front of it, but the next possession for Auburn, Tom, offensively, the ball didn't get side to side. It got stuck on the right side of the floor. A very difficult shot by Murphy.
That was just the 6th foul this half against Auburn. Overton late to get to Aberdeen. Now he touches him with 18.8 remaining. Auburn in danger of its 6th consecutive loss. And they have had some heartbreakers, including here at home against Alabama in an absolute thriller that came down to the wire. And they lost on a would-be buzzer beater at home to A&M earlier this season. Denzel Aberdeen, first free throw attempt of the game.
81% in conference play, Denzel Aberdeen.
Three-point lead. Auburn is just 2 for 6 from 3 this half. Shot clock off. Here's Pettiford. Going for 2. Tied up by Aberdeen and will go to the line.
Well, that's the right play by Pettiford. Drive that ball, and at worst, get yourself to the free throw line, stop the clock, extend the length of the game. And Aberdeen does all he can. He shows his hands, but then he reached down there at the end. But, man, it's just the perfect play by Pettiford trying to extend this game.
Todd Pettiford 2 for 2 from the line. Pettiford had 21 in their matchup last year against Kentucky. Moreno returns. Garrison to the bench. I would expect with a made free throw here that before they foul, they go into the denial full court press, which is something they talked about earlier today in the film room.
Absolutely. You got 14 seconds to work with. You got time for a 5-second count, set up that press, try to get a trap, try to get a turnover. You know, Pettiford's been frozen on that line with all the congestion going on.
Oweh switched spots about 3 times. Doesn't hamper Pettiford.
Yeah, you'd expect the Auburn to come with heavy pressure right now. They're not going to take a guy off the ball and have a center fielder, so a lot of pressure on these Kentucky guys to make 2 cuts to get open.
Chandler with the push off.
He got it.
It'll go to Auburn, down 1 with 14 seconds left.
You can't look at the monitor for a common foul call.
Well, we can look at it.
Right there's where the action is, and from that angle, you don't see anybody wrapping up another guy. Colin Chandler, a little bit of a push off. I can see why the call was made.
I feel like that is a routine play for a guard to get open against the press.
It is, because the defender also had his arm on his back. Man, that is a very difficult call to go against Kentucky this stage of the game.
No reason or ability to go to the monitor here.
Can't.
But Chandler commits his third, and now Auburn will take a 30-second timeout with 14.3 remaining. We talked about this at the very beginning, Jimmy Dykes. 2 desperate teams. Kentucky had found its rhythm and found its role, and then this Dickens tale continues, a tale of multiple seasons within one for Kentucky. And Auburn trying to snap its longest losing streak since 2016. Tigers have dropped 5 in a row.
And it's 2 teams that have arguably 2 of the best wins in the SEC play this year. Auburn's win at Florida, I would put number 1. Kentucky's wins at Arkansas and Tennessee are right there behind them. So you know they're more than capable of making the run in Nashville, getting to the SEC finals. A huge call goes against Kentucky. It looked like Auburn's defender had his arm around the backside of Colin Chandler. Those are plays you normally just say play on. To your point, that's how press breaker pressure gets broken. But the call goes against Kentucky, and no time to drop your dauber. And if you're Kentucky, you got to play through now and get a stop.
14.3 left. Here's Murphy. 10 left. Hall works on Garrison. Picks up his dribble. 7 to play. Overton trying to shake Chandler. Blocked! Dioubate to Auburn. For good! Freeman with the tip in. 1.1 remaining. And an injured Kevin Overton is on the floor in the middle of the paint. Kentucky has a timeout remaining. This will allow a stoppage as you worry about Overton first. And now Kentucky will draw something up. And Jimmy, you don't have to go far back to find a game winner from the baseline. Just back to LSU earlier this year.
Yeah, no doubt. Here's the danger when you play Auburn. They are the number 10 offensive rebounding team in the country, snaring 38% on the offensive glass. Those loose ball rebounds, you've got to make sure you're involved in the fight. And blue jerseys get attracted to that first shot. And Keyshawn Murphy kept it alive, and Overton comes sailing in. But that is the fear when you play Auburn. Can you keep them off the free throw line, and can you keep them off their offensive glass? And Stephen Pearl knows, man, I'm 1.1 second away from putting an end to this 5-game streak and getting a big win for my NCAA resume.
They're at the monitor looking at two things. They want to make sure that final play was clean from a flagrant situation, and they want to make sure the clock is right. Clock should have stopped as soon as the ball cleared the net.
Yep.
Right now it's at 1.1. They may make an adjustment. Kentucky's done this already once this season. So 1.2 left. They wanted to look and see if Overton ended up on the floor was a result of a flagrant. Let's go back to Baton Rouge at the PMAC. Colin Chandler pulled the trigger on this game winner. January 14th, just over a month ago. Chandler with the baseball pass to Malachi Moreno. The play wasn't originally drawn up to go to Moreno, and Chandler wasn't supposed to be the inbounder, but because of foul trouble was. Let's see if they draw the exact same thing up. Chandler will inbound.
Tom, if you're Auburn, you cannot let a blue jersey get behind you. That's the mistake that LSU made. You keep blue jerseys in front of you, and if they throw in a miracle shot, so be it. But this ball from Chandler cannot go over the head of an Auburn defender.
Here we go, final 1.2.
It's going to be the same play. Moreno's going to break up, and Ortega and Aberdeen are going to cross.
Chandler heaves. Here's Moreno. Tipped. They can't get it off. And Auburn outlasts Kentucky to snap a 5-game losing streak. The bubble won't burst tonight for the Tigers. Stephen Pearl told his team, you deserve to celebrate. I want to do it with you. They will.
Very similar play. Colin Chandler's the quarterback. He's trying to get it to Moreno, but Keyshawn Murphy is all of 6'11" long, and he's experienced. Makes a little bit of a gamble to get out in front of that basketball, but man, what a great job by Murphy to time it up top, and Moreno couldn't come up with it. And Stephen Pearl exhales and gets ready to celebrate for the first time in the last 5 games.
Meanwhile, Kentucky has lost 3 straight in the league for the first time since February of 21. Cats have to regroup. Auburn has. It's a 1-point win for Stephen Pearl and Auburn. And as college basketball Saturday rolls on, let's get to the Marriott Center in Provo, Utah. For BYU and Iowa State with Sean Farnham, here is Dave Fleming.